Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum and welcome to World Today. I'm your host Khalid. But two topics will be the center of our discussion in today's show. Two topics that are quite at the center of national and international discussion at this moment when it concerns Pakistan. The first is the remark made by the US Journal Joseph Wattle, in which he says that the United States is seeing positive indications that Pakistan is moving in the right direction on the militant threat. He also says that we are now beginning to see very positive indicators that they are moving in the right direction. He is, of course, the head of the US Military Central Command. This happened during a hearing of the US House of Representatives. At the same time, we've also got the Trump administration's one of the person belonging to the Trump administration, who is Lisa Curtis. She is the US National Security Council Senior Director for South and Central Asia, who was here on a two-day visit, who met with the Interior Minister, with Tahmina Janjua, and also Chief of the General Staff. And after that, there was a statement that was emanated that was slightly contrary to what Journal Joseph Wattle was saying. Now, what is happening on the US front? This blow hot, this blow cold, good cop, bad cop relationship that the US is trying to initiate with Pakistan. Where is this going to lead to? This is the first topic of this evening. The second topic is the meeting of the National Security Committee that was held in the Prime Minister's house on Tuesday, which endorsed the recalibration of the foreign policy to make it more regionally focused, and that the fight against terrorism will be dictated by national interest. This was what was decided. This meeting was attended by the Foreign Minister Khaja Asif, Defence Minister Khurram Dastagir, Interior Minister Ehsan Iqbal, Advisor to the Prime Minister on Finance Miftah Ismail, Chairman Joint Chiefs of Staff Committee General Zubair Hayat, as well as the three services chiefs. This is, of course, a higher civil military coordination forum, and it has launched new initiatives to enhance economic partnerships with friendly countries in the region and beyond for win-win relationship. Now, when we talk about this relationship with the friendly countries, who are we exactly pointing the fingers at? Is it the warm relationship that exists with China? Is it also the relationship that is developing with Russia? Is it also the olive branch that Afghanistan has given to Pakistan and to Taliban, saying that it wants to have talks with both Pakistan as well as the Taliban for lasting peace in the region? To talk about that and more, we've been joined by two important guests. Let me introduce them to you one by one. On my right is Mr. Shahid Kiyani. He's a former ambassador. Shahid Kiyani sahab, welcome to our show. Next to him is our foreign affairs analyst, a regular on our show, Mr. Qamar Cheema. Cheema sahab, thank you very much for giving us the time on this show. Let's start with you, Shahid Kiyani sahab. Let's start with the statement of US Journal Joseph Wattle. Seems like a very positive statement, despite what happened since 1st of January and before that. And he's saying that the US is seeing positive indications that Pakistan is moving in the right direction as far as the militant threat is concerned. But at the same time, he says it does not yet equal the decisive action that we would like to see them take in terms of a strategic shift, but these are positive indicators. What does it all mean, sir?
Yeah. First, let me if you look at United States working as institutions, right from the beginning, I'll give you historical examples where the State Department is kept out of the picture by the White House in its relationship with foreign countries, right at the high level. Look at, in a historical context, the reaching out to China through Pakistan. It was done by President Nixon with special assistant at that time, Henry Kissinger. He writes in his book, White House Years.
The US owes it to Pakistan.
Absolutely, yeah. Now, in which Henry Kissinger describes, from ahead, through ahead, to ahead, in which the State Department was kept totally, isolated from it. Now you come down to the, what you call, the Defense Department, General Wattle, who is the head of the Central Command. These are realist people who understand. State Department remains in communication, in negotiations 24/7 with foreign countries. in this context, Pakistan. It understands what are the limitations and what are the advantages of negotiating Pakistan. Defense, Wattle, General Wattle has said it very clearly. He is in contact with the higher levels, higher leadership, military leadership. So they understand the limitations. Just like I'll just give you a mundane example of people, who are wrestling. The people outside the wrestling, they make a lot of noises, but those who are inside understand. General Wattle exactly understands what its troops who are fighting in Afghanistan are doing and what is the importance of Pakistan in their fight against those forces in Afghanistan. Same is the case with the State Department. Now you come down to Lisa Curtis. She's a known critic of Pakistan. We know it.
She's always been a critic
Absolutely.
of Pakistan.
Now here in this context, she came as the National Security Council.
And this is the second visit in a couple of months.
Now,
she came in October last year and now she's come again.
Now National Security Councils directly reports to the President. The White House, the State Department, in this context, the people working there report to the Secretary of State. Here General Wattle reports to the Chairman, Joint Chief of Staff and the Secretary of Defense. So those are two different things. Here it is the White House speaking. These people come here to sound out Pakistan, but I would give it a positive,
All right.
What is it? At least we are talking. This is the most important thing is, she must have come and she must have sounded out Pakistan. I've heard she talked about FATF and Haqqani network and the same thing. But then she discussed with the Foreign Secretary and with the Interior Minister. So, and then with the Chief of Defense Staff. At least if she has spoken same off for about 25 minutes and half an hour, at least we were able to sound out our concerns. Even if we got the smallest period of time in talking, but at least we are talking, sir. Communication at this time, sir, is extremely important. Instead of, like for example, in this region, we are not talking to India at all. India is talking to us. It's a very dangerous, situation. Here, the sole superpower is talking to us in any manner. And we are being able to share our concerns, and they have shared our concerns. We know their concerns. Lisa Curtis is a known critic of Pakistan. Sir, the thing is, you can do little about it. Let us speak. Let us say. This is something which we have to live with it, sir. My opinion is, sir, this is a very positive development that they sent a senior official to sound out us instead of, issuing these tweets and issuing these press releases.
But those tweets also came from the highest
I agree,
office.
sir. That is, I should say, Lisa Curtis is is a spokesperson, I tell you, from the White House, not from the state. That is the reason that the Defense General Wattle is talking something very positive and talking something in a realist frame that he knows that their troops are in harm's way. They need Pakistan support. You will see State Department's statements coming out. They're always they strike a balance between the two. They're always very positive. But White House, National Security Council is a totally different thing.
All right, Qamar Cheema Saab, you've heard the former ambassador talk about the relationship between the US, that the US is trying to initiate contact with Pakistan, again, contrary to what India is doing. But is this contact in the long run going to change the dynamics between Pakistan and the US to a more positive trajectory compared to the last few months?
Well, I think definitely the United States want to engage with Pakistan, looking at the vulnerabilities and the sensitivities and the strategic investment in the region. But I think this is not the problem. The problem is what the ambassador was mentioning. This is about the militarization of diplomacy in Washington. The Pentagon has taken over and the generals are everywhere, even in the White House. So all what is going to be that the State Department people, they need to come over. But definitely they can't go for mutiny or something like that. I have my personal conversations with people from the American administration, and if you just listen to the behavior that is coming from the Pentagon people or those who are dealing on the military side, they're very harsh. Their perspective is very aggressive posture. But if you just listen to the people on the diplomatic corps, they're more soft in terms of engaging. They believe that we have to engage. So I think this is where it matters. But we just cannot change the setup there in Washington. We don't have that power. All what we have to do is we have to manage them the way.
But Qamar Saab, you've seen also their stance on the FATF, where when they, along with the United Kingdom, with France and other countries also tried to support an action against Pakistan, putting it on the grey list. This is just one of those actions. You remember the 1st of January tweet by Donald Trump. You remember the previous statements that have emanated from the military circle as well as the diplomatic circle in the United States. Now these two statements that have emanated, one from Lisa Curtis that is more on the negative, from a neutral to a negative side, and General Joseph Wattle that is neutral to positive side. What do these two statements indicate? What does that show as far as the US stance on Pakistan is concerned?
Well, I think what I have understood so far is that the Americans, since the 21st August speech of the President Trump and South Asia policy in Pakistan and Afghanistan, the Americans are doing one thing. They are implementing President Trump's policy, simply. The White House, the State Department or the Pentagon, they're working that how we have to go on what the president wants. Because if they believe, what I have heard from them, if we are paying money, all what we need is we want desired result. This is what they're saying. That is one thing. Second, I think the FATF is nothing, because this is politically motivated. But we were on FATF from 2012 to 15, but we were dealing with international financial institutions. We issued bonds, we issued sukuk, we were doing everything. But this time it will not be the same. Because this time if we are on a grey list, that means there will be certain
economic implications
that will have in whatever the capacity. So all what the Americans are doing is that they are buying more time, and they're giving more time so that they need that we can engage with Pakistan. One thing you might have noticed, Lisa Curtis came last time when the chief was not here. He was in Sri Lanka. This time chief has not met. The problem is that they are listening that we have lowered down. If she is coming directly from the White House and she's reporting to the president, and the army chief is not meeting her, knowing every person who comes from the Washington, the leadership in Pakistan meets them. This is not what's happening this time.
But she does meet the chief of the general staff.
The chief of general staff definitely represent. I think all what I have seen is that the second tier leadership in the GHQ is dealing with the Americans now. So they have lowered down that cooperation because they're saying we're not going to do more. So they see that there is some sort of hard stance in Pakistan. So all what they want is that if, for instance, because the limitations of the US power has its limitations. You know, if you just look at the American sanctions or their apparatus, 2/3 of the American sanctions didn't work in the entire history, even being the great power. So that doesn't work. What they want is that they want to get outcome, they want to get result, and they fear. There have been statements that came from the Congress that whatever the sanctions we have, we are asking if we have stopped the military assistance to Pakistan. It has not brought anything to us. It has not brought any positive gesture. So, but at the same time, what is happening is that the GHQ and the Pentagon, they are working, they are collaborating, they are working on many things, and still the positive environment is there. All what is important is that we have to manage the hawks there, and at the same time we have to put things in order at home as well. If we just do not do that, it will be catastrophic. Because, for example, if the Prime Minister and the Foreign Minister, when they go America, they believe and they say there, when talking to the institutions or think tanks, we need to bring reforms at home, and they say it openly. But when they come home, they change their stance. And or if they don't change their stance, they're silent on the stance. So I think what is important at the moment is that we need to take initiatives that what we have to do. Because one way or the other, the UN security resolutions are there at place. And at one point, if the way the close friends are shying away to help us in such kind of atmosphere and environment, I believe if those UN Security Council resolutions, if activated by United States, could have bad implications on Pakistan's image. And one more thing. This all 16 years of war we have been fighting, we must not let the credit go out from us.
But isn't the credit going to others now? Isn't the credit going to
I think this is where we have to work. If we have lost everything, the credit is not on our side. Even we are working on that, we are crying on that, but the world is actually paying attention, half attention, because they believe, because the narrative that is being been successful around the globe is that it's coming from Washington and the New Delhi, and now the Kabul has joined them. So all what we have to do is that what the sacrifices we have given, they must not go in vain.
All right, sacrifices. Let's talk of sacrifices, Kiyani Saab. Lisa Curtis acknowledges Pakistan's fight against terrorism, says that US seeks to move forward a new relationship with Pakistan, which is based on shared commitment to defeat all terrorist groups that threaten regional stability and security, plus a shared vision of a peaceful future in Afghanistan. All right, the first, the terrorist groups. We've talked a bit about it, that Pakistan needs to do a bit more than it is doing. It is doing, and it has fought two major wars against these extremist elements, against these terrorist elements. The shared vision of a peaceful future in Afghanistan, hasn't that always been Pakistan's stance?
I am surprised that a senior official like Lisa Curtis talks about a new relationship. What new relationship means? We have been, meaning it's a very, in my opinion, mind my language, if I hope not. Pakistan and United States enjoy a relationship spanning over 7 decades.
That is true.
We know each other very well. We know each other's limitations. What sort of new relationship are we going to now forge? Meaning, I'm surprised. Has she been able to, you see, give us in detail what we want to do? Meaning, we have been friends, rather at times suffered during the Cold War. It has been also we also made mistakes. I just want to just say that, then invite your attention to something else which has happened. Now, the problem is, I think our political military leadership has also clearly stated to the United States that enough is enough. We have done enough. Look at the casualties of the civilians and the armed forces in the war against terrorism. This is the war which we are fighting. Yes, it's our war also, but a global war in the sense that many terrorists have found refuge in our areas. We have been able to, you see, push them out, or we have killed them. Now, there are limitations of what we can do. Look at the porous border between in Pakistan and Afghanistan, maybe over 2,000 miles. We are fencing it. We are doing our best. We are resource-constrained people. We cannot put all the money to just fence the border. You have the social sector to look after, burgeoning population Pakistani. So we are doing our best. And I think it's time the United States and allies understands our limitations.
But till when will they continue to saying do more, do more?
See, they will. I can give you my word. It happened during Obama's period. It happened during Bush's period. It's nothing new. The only thing which we find is these tweets. Believe it or not, which is, I'm a bit surprised. A head of the leader of the superpower wants to send policies or share policy through tweets. I mean, I'm surprised. Nothing new. They've been pushing us right to the wall. Do more. Do more what? I just don't understand. Meaning, how many people do you want us to kill? Meaning, so we have done our best. The other thing I'll tell you, sir, is Lisa Curtis' visit takes place after two developments which has taken place. Please don't forget the address of the Chief of Army Staff at Munich at the security, the security conference. It was, believe it or not, I read the whole thing, a commendable speech. And I would want to you see, the military leadership is also accepting the negative aspects of what happened in the 70s. They want to distance themselves from what it is. We stood up against the Soviet Union. What sort of advantage did we get? Meaning people, we jumped, we broke up Soviet Union. What advantage did we take? We broke up and there's only now one superpower to deal with. You see, you have to. So that, and then the FATF, the Financial Action the Task Force. This is something, sir, as Cheema Saab was saying, I tell you, believe it or not, sir, this is something we need to look at it very seriously. You see, the vanguards of our security of the country can only be the armed forces and not these non-state actors, whatever they are. It's time to jettison them, sir. It is time to listen, sir. Listen to sane elements. Look at what happened at that time. I'm not going to go into the politics of what happened. Look at China and Saudi Arabia distancing themselves away from that stand, and only Turkey was left. Why? What happened? We need to do some soul searching, sir. It's very extremely important for the future of this country. A country whose economy is not in good shape. It's a vulnerable economy, sir. Even though we are saying 5% is okay. So come June, we need to, our narrative should be very strong. At this National Security Council meeting happened, if you look at inside what they were talking about, they talk about, correcting that vision also. So narrative has to be corrected. And sir, at this time, sir, my opinion is, look at the countries which were opposing us, Germany and United Kingdom and France. United States,
to get them on one table and to ask them how to move forward as far as the relationship is concerned.
It's just like you go to a doctor and he gives you the medicines. you cannot, sir, get well until you take the medicines.
True.
So they're advising you. Sir, the thing is, in the larger interest of this country, that we need to, sir, do some soul searching and allow those institutions whose job in the constitution is clearly stated, armed forces on the borders, security forces inside the country, they are the ones who will protect you and not this non-state actors, sir. It's time to, sir, move on.
All right, all right. Important point of view of Ambassador Shahid Kiyani Saab, Qamar Cheema Saab. Let's move towards the US, the UK, France, Germany sponsoring this move to get Pakistan on an international counter illicit financing watchdogs grey list. That is the FATF. We've been talking about it. The targeting of Pakistan in FATF, in your point of view, is it premature?
I think as far as this FATF thing is concerned,
whether it has an impact or not, I'm just asking of the targeting of Pakistan on the FATF by these countries. Do you feel that it is premature from these countries?
well, in my personal understanding, I believe that there are certain legitimate concerns and those need to be addressed, and the authorities in Pakistan understand those concerns, and that is why before this meeting was to happen, the authorities took strict measures. That meant there were certain loopholes which needs to be fulfilled. There are gaps which needs to be fulfilled. So there are measures that need to be understood. But I think in this case, what the measures they want is those banned organizations. I think they have huge network in the country, and the state does not have that apparatus to control that network. They have more than about 4,500 organizations working in entire Pakistan. Now, how the state can control all this? The state needs to work on this, and the parliament needs to work on it. And I'm surprised to know that the parliament have to understand that if the right-wing elements are turning towards democratic courts, how we have to adopt them, embrace them, or either we have to shun them, or whatever we have to do, the parliament need to talk on that. So you don't talk about Germany or talk about England or France or United States. There are loopholes. For example, if today the United States asks us to implement the UN Security Council Resolution 1257 and 3073, we don't have any lacuna. We will have to do that. The question is that since they believe that the political leverage, if they will go for the extreme politically, they will be active, the Americans will be active, there will be concerns. And this is what the Indian lobby is working in Washington, that what the Pakistan has done, that the Americans are dealing with the Afghan position differently and Indian position differently. This is what the Indians want, that they need to club both and the pressurize Pakistan both. Although Pakistan is not concerned what's happening in Kashmir, that is, we only support politically, morally and diplomatically to the Kashmir crisis. This is what we have been doing, and this is an indigenous struggle going on. But what the concerns are, so there are legitimate concerns. All what we have, there needs to be, as Ambassador was mentioning, soul searching is required. So all that soul searching will come when the national narrative that will come on that platform. So political parties, they need to work on it.
All right.
And for example, if you are having Milli Muslim League, if you really want to include those people and you want to mainstream them, there are global examples. The FARC rebels in Colombia have been mainstreamed. We have been talking on, I have written on this.
IRA.
I have written, yes, IRA, and forget that. There is the Truth and Reconciliation Commission in South Africa. The Indians are asking to mainstream. I have written an article on this, that how to mainstream militants. They belong to the social fabric of the society. They may be bad people back sometime, but all what we have to do is that we have to mainstream them. If Burhanuddin Rabbani can come in Afghanistan, who was a butcher of Kabul, Gulbuddin Hikmatyar can come in Afghanistan, known as the butcher of the Kabul, and you removed him from the United Nations watch list, and the person is free now. The question is that we have to move forward from our position, from our status. That is the only way we can survive. Because if we go for this, we take just short measures in resolving or making a bigger picture understand to the world, we can't do it. Unfortunately. So I think there needs to be certain concrete measures. For example, if Saeed was put behind bars, the state said this is a policy decision, but then state released him because having no evidence. So then if there are no evidence, this is where we need to take on the world. We don't have an evidence. So we actually don't have an evidence if we have this issue. Because our courts are independent, the state has an independent policy. So all what we have to do is that we need to take word on board and we need to be active. So we only just work The last session was of the FATF was in October, November, and now it is in February. And just 2 weeks ago, we knew and we started working on that, what we can do and all this. So the state have to be more active, proactive on our way.
Right,
We
all
have to
right,
do that.
all
So I
right.
think this is what is required and needed, and hopefully we will be.
All right, Kiyani Saab, another part of the statement of General Joseph Votel was that Pakistan has not yet taken decisive action to show strategic shift on militants. How important is the relationship between Pakistan and the US? How vital is it for defeating such elements and for defeating terrorism?
So the thing is, we have to look at globally what's happening. While our relationship with China is very robust, I would say, robust, strong, robust, meaning all-weather friendship. But sir, the problem is, even Chinese know their limitations.
Yes.
We are, sir, every few years, our economy needs the help of the IMF. And for our social sectors like health and education, World Bank, USAID, other development partners are important. It is extremely important for us, vital, significant that we maintain our relationship with the United States at the highest level. We need to communicate and talk. No other country, sir, can take the place of the United States. I'm telling you, sir, this is something, it's a bitter pill we have to swallow.
All right.
So we have to look at, I know United States as a superpower is very unfair, meaning sending signals to IMF and World Bank and other countries that okay, putting pressure on them not to assist. Look at the reprocessing plant issue I'm talking about long time back, how they pressurized France in not to giving us. So these things happen. It's unfair. But sir, this is a world in which we have to live. So we need to continue our talking to United States at every level. Even Lisa Curtis, I said to you, a lady who known for her, she came, okay, we are talking, at least she goes back, takes our concern and talks to them. So this is, I think, why. So my opinion is, sir, no other country can take United States' place, sir.
All right.
This is something which we have to, sir.
That relationship needs to move forward.
I tell you, sir, even the Chinese, I was in China last year, they also tell you, sir, that we need to keep on, remain in communication with the United States. Because Chinese say, sir, that they are, yes, a very rising global power, but they cannot replace United States in the foreseeable future, maybe in the 10, 15 years. It will take some time.
All right.
So we cannot, sir, remain on loggerheads with the United States. We understand that they are not fair to us.
All
But
right.
at the same time, as General Wattle says, I want to answer to that. General Wattle wants us to do certain things which we have shared with them, we cannot do. For example, they tell us that you see the Haqqani network is here. The word network means something is very negative connotation. We have told them, the Chief Army Staff has said very clearly that they are not here. We have thrown them out. Why should they need Pakistan territory? They already have a big territory inside Afghanistan. They are living there. They are attacking the what you call inside Afghanistan. And at the same time, sir, the Taliban are now wants to talk to the United States for whatever reason. They want them to move, whatever it is. So, sir, this is the time for them to take advantage of Taliban's offer to talk. As far as we are concerned, we have done our best. Look at the state of the number of terrorist attacks which has taken place in Pakistan. It's just gone down considerably, even though the concern is still there.
So it has considerably gone down in the last few years.
A few years, and that is what General Wattle was referring to. Then they because they are in close touch with the military leadership on a daily basis, they understand what it is. But there's certain things which they ask, or for example, they like, for example, we get hold of Taliban leaders and hand it over to them. That is not going to happen, sir, because they are not in our territory.
All right. Relationship with foreign countries is very important to Pakistan, and this was also one of, the main topic of discussion at the meeting of the National Security Committee that was held at the Prime Minister's house on Tuesday, Qamar Cheema Saab, in which the NSC endorses the recalibration of the foreign policy, making it more regionally focused. Now, this is these are two very important points. Recalibration of foreign policy and making it more regionally focused. When you recalibrate it and make it more regionally focused, haven't we been regionally focused in the past as well? Or do you think that we haven't been doing enough? That is why this has been decided in this meeting.
Well, I think we have been, it's been long we're talking about. For example, I remember People's Party government was, the slogan was region is the pivot. So we have to look in this region. But I think we have made, unfortunately, we have more enemies in the region as compared to friends. And friends are shying away. Like, for example, the way China, didn't, in the second session, took away its position. Why? Because China has become the vice president of the Financial Action Task Force, and they bargained with India on this. So they knew that we just cannot help Pakistan on this. The statement that came in BRICS about the terrorist organization in Pakistan, that was again alarming for us, and we didn't have any choice. So it means that the friends who have been with us 24/7, they are shy helping in Pakistan in this issue. One. Second is that, for example, I think the foreign minister was there. He was talking. He was explaining the National Security Committee on this his visit to Russia. I think Russians are very smart now.
And Russia is warming up to Pakistan as well.
They are doing it, but they're very cautious. And there's a reason behind it. I have met with certain Russian authorities, and you know what they say? They talk that we have, there is the Cold War mindset is still in the political leadership of Russia. And that Cold War mindset does not accept Pakistan the way we want they should accept us. One. Second, the Russian authorities also believe that, looking at Pakistan's position, they believe that they want to move towards China and Russia because they believe that the United States is getting tough with them. So all that time when they were good with the United States, they didn't look other than any other country, and there were no, we were not having a more diversified foreign policy, or we were not touching other countries or not approaching other countries. So in this situation, the Russians are also very, and at the same time, they're also looking at, are there any economic opportunities? For example, President Putin was to come in the previous government, and he didn't come because said there is nothing to talk or there's nothing to do. I cannot come for the photo session. So it means that we have to look, and if this is so, that happened, I think, in the previous year in the People's Party government. So the 5 years of this government.
But there's also that concern of the presence of Daesh in Afghanistan that both Russia and Pakistan are concerned about as well and want to work jointly.
Again, but it's a very important concern. We must not engage with other countries just on the security lens. If the United States last 15, 70 years security, back in Cold War on security, the problem with the Russia on security, now new engagement with the Russia on security, I think there are many other ways. There are many elements of power, and the state like Pakistan, we have so much power. And all what we have to do is how we exploit. And one thing which we lack, I think we as a nation, we need to think collectively. This is how nations move forward. I think, and that is that we have to understand that the nations are very smart now. They look towards us. So all what we have to do is that we have to build strategic partnership with every country. Unfortunately, we don't have strategic partnership with any country other than China. So we have to diversify ourselves. Even with the United States, we have this close cooperation, but a strategic partnership with the United States is not there. The strategic dialogue Pakistan started with the United States, that got halted back, 2 years or 3 years ago, because they knew that we are not going to deal. So with the Russians, we have to have more energy. We need to actually show them and tell them what we have. Yes, security cooperation is needed because we are eliminating IS, we have eliminated Islamic State network, and they need our support because in Afghanistan, they believe that there is going to be a bigger IS that is emerging, because that is where Iranians are more focusing than Russians are focusing, and that is where the Russian and Iranian together are having links with the Taliban, because they want the Taliban could be trained enough and should be able enough to fight, because the Russians are concerned about the Islamic movements in Central Asia. They may harm the Russian interest in Central Asia and then in Russia. So that is why they want to cooperate with us. So let's keep in that mind and let's work on it. The cooperation must not be on security, and it must be on security, but that should not be the only element.
But Qamar Sahab, that is why in this meeting it has also been said that new initiatives would be launched to enhance economic partnerships with friendly countries in the region and beyond. Now, this is also important because this is exactly what you've been trying to say, that we need to move ahead and forge new relationships and stronger relationships, not only on security but also on economy and other fronts.
If the region is there, contemporary situation in this, we have lost space in Afghanistan. and we have to regain that space. And I think yesterday I was saying that there are many students who are coming from Afghanistan and they were in the presidency, and we have invited those students on scholarships. So Pakistan is extending its hand of love and peace and brotherhood to Afghans, but we want to see all that.
All right, talking about Afghans, Kiyani Saab, Afghan President Ashraf Ghani calls on the Taliban to take part in the peace talks to save the country. This is the quote unquote. This is at the second Kabul Peace Conference, in which many representatives of countries and organizations take part. And he calls on the government to government talks with Pakistan and detailed peace offer to the Taliban and to the Pakistan on behalf of the Afghan people. This is not the first time that this has happened. This so-called olive branch to talk to the Taliban, to move on peace talks with the Taliban involving Pakistan. Is this initiative this time a more stronger resolve from the Afghan government?
I will just, first of all, let me just make a little very small comment on the National Security Council,
right.
the recalibrating. I mean, I've been saying it on this forum for the last many months. So the first thing is, there are no brotherly and other friendly relations. I said, this is just like a diplomacy practitioner. I haven't seen such things. National interest dictates the relationship between, even between Pakistan and China and other countries. Now, sir, I'm not privy to or know the details of that recalibration in the regional context not being shared. But I can say that, sir, I think it's time that we are able to visibly improve our relationship with Afghanistan, with Iran. It's very, very important, sir. A neighbor, a country with which we have enjoyed extremely good relations. Look at their role in the 1965 war, sir. Can anybody forget? They're the same people, sir. The governments have changed. So, and then, sir, we want to keep our western borders quiet, safe, and we are purchasing electricity from Iran. We would be having these gas pipelines. So it is now at this time, sir, to, sir, visibly improve. Look at the Chief of Army Staff visited Iran. He had a series of discussions with the top leadership. I think a lot of...
But Iran does go forward with the Chabahar.
I agree. Sir, the thing is, sir, let me just tell you one thing. We have become, you see, in my opinion, we have become possessive. Such states are sovereign. You cannot either dictate Afghanistan or India or Iran. So don't do this thing. So let them continue what it is. As long as we look at that relationship is not, against us. Let them build the Chabahar. We are building the Gwadar port, and if we are able to offer better services because it's a private world, let the others come and look at our port. If I'm confident that our port and our services will be far better than Chabahar. Let them build Chabahar also. The other thing, sir, this is extremely important. The other thing is our relationship with other neighboring countries, including India, needs to visibly improve and change, so that, sir, we have at least a decade, of peace on our borders and within the country. So I've been saying it, sir, that it's time that our Prime Minister needs to visit the neighboring countries. Barring aside India, for example, they don't.
All right.
China, India, Iran, Sri Lanka, Bangladesh. And, sir, share our narrative, which has not been heard. The other thing is, you talked about the President Ghani's Taliban. You see, President Ghani forgets that just about a month back, he was talking to, I think, the Americans, and saying that if the American troops leave, our government cannot be survive for 90 days. Now, what sort of signal are they giving to the Taliban? Just waiting for you. That is the reason Taliban wants to talk to the Americans and not to them. So whatever he talks, first of all, this is too little and too late.
All right.
But
better late than never.
No, I hope better late than never. But, sir, then does he talk from a position of strength? Look at his government totally divided right from the outset. You have the doctor, what you call the chief executive. He's on a different plane and he's on a different plane. If he shows a united front and talks to the Taliban, then Taliban will listen to them. But if he talks like this with a divided house and saying that we can only survive for 90 days without American support, who's going to listen to them? I would bet, sir, that if, like in Qatar or any third place, the Taliban start talking to the Americans, then you will see
But
some
Pakistan
movement.
has initiated different
We
fronts
did,
in the
we
past
did.
as well. We know that
Sir,
the trilateral, the quadrilateral fronts, the
sir,
different summits.
So my opinion is, sir, I think my opinion is, sir, since we have distanced ourselves from this mediation thing, I think let the American Taliban talk to each other. We can encourage them, but sir, we cannot bring them to the table.
But in this NSC meeting, it
Yeah.
is said that consistent and continued engagement with Pakistan, with Afghanistan will continue.
This is what I'm saying, sir, because if you look at the political and the military leadership's foray into in diplomacy, going to Afghanistan, the foreign secretary, the ministers going, and the chief army staff going, they're on the same plane. I think this is absolutely in the right direction. That peace in Afghanistan. If you look at, I just quote you, chief army staff's statement, address at Munich. He said that our domestic peace is hinged to peace and security inside Afghanistan. So this is something which our leadership is saying, and they're very serious about it.
All right. Qamar, Cheema Saab, we're a bit short of time, so one last question. During this NSC meeting, it is also talked about strengthening and reaffirming the commitment to strengthen the China-Pakistan economic corridor A, and they also talk, as we've talked about, the foreign minister's visit to Moscow, and they talk about setting up of a commission for promoting military cooperation, and of course they express concern over growing Daesh presence, footprint in Afghanistan, and indifference of the US-led NATO forces as far as Daesh is concerned. Now, CPEC, that means China and Russia. Now, these are two countries with which we've been trying to improve relationship with China. We have seen considerable improvement in the form of CPEC. With Russia, we want to improve, as we've talked a little bit previously in the program. How much more of a commitment is needed from both sides, Russia and Pakistan, China and Pakistan, to reaffirm this commitment to solidify further this relationship?
I think one thing very productive is going on is that since Prime Minister Shahid Abbasi is in office, the Cabinet Committee on National Security is regularly meeting. Yeah. This is very important. So it means you are giving institution respect, you're giving them strength, and this is what is needed. So regular meeting is going on, and the authorities are talking. The other thing, what you are talking, that how we can solidify the relations. I think with the China-Pakistan relations, all what is going on, we are improving day by day, and things are going. And Pakistan has unwavering commitment to work with China and specifically implement this One Belt, One Road and China-Pakistan economic corridor. All what we have to do is that we have to see that how we have to engage our people, our society, our people, government in this project, and the maximum benefit our people can engage in terms of jobs, in terms of engagement, entrepreneurship, and getting business with this. This is, I think, we need to work on these lines. We are working on these, but I think more engagement is needed. As far as the Russians are concerned, as this Cabinet Committee on National Security has met, I think what is needed is that we have to look at on multiple levels while dealing with the Russians. And there should not be cooperation only from the security lens. And I think we need to open up to the Russia, and we need to take them into the confidence. So that, as I was talking, that Cold War mindset, political administration sitting in Moscow, they need to think differently. And they should feel that this is not that the Americans are going away, and so we are going closer to you, or this is a multipolar world where more power
there should
centers
be a parallel relationship with countries, which includes the US, which includes Russia,
the way
which
we have seen.
includes
And I
China.
think one more thing is that if we have the Germans or the Brits and the others, if this FATF thing was happening, had we more stronger relations, we could have got more support from other countries. So we need to also look at the other European countries as well. And I think FATF
and reaffirm
might have
that relationship with other countries. Thank you very much, Shahid Kiyani Saab. Thank you very much, Qamar Cheema Saab. Ladies and gentlemen, we've been talking about two important issues, but the main crux of the issue is the foreign policy of Pakistan, the relations of Pakistan, whether it be with the United States or whether it be with our neighboring countries. We are trying to improve it, and as the recent statements on the US front also show, that the US is also wanting to improve the relationship between the two countries. After all, we've been allies for so many decades. We will see in the coming days and months how the relationship between the US and Pakistan, and also the relationship between Pakistan and Afghanistan, and Pakistan and China, Pakistan and Russia continues to evolve. Only time will tell. Khalid bids you farewell from this episode of World Today. We'll be back inshallah tomorrow with a new program. Take care of yourselves. Allah Hafiz.